Before we start this video, I need to tell you guys that this is my humble attempt at explaining the unexplainable. In no way should you believe everything I tell you. I am simply offering you an aperture to look through. Just keep in mind that this is my perspective, and this will not be true for everyone watching. Without having your own experience of ego death, a lot of these concepts, no matter how relatable they may be, just will not make clear sense to you. You have been warned. After watching this video, you might just be left with many more questions than before you started watching this video. Individuals who undergo intense psychedelic experiences often reach a state that they call ego death. It has been said that experiencing ego death can feel as though you are literally dying in the physical sense. After experiencing ego death, many psychonauts come back with a whole new understanding of their subjective reality. It can be as though they had visited a Satori-like state and they come back with a whole new appreciation for life. So, what is ego death? To further understand what the death of the ego is, first we have to understand what the ego is. As long as you are alive and breathing, you and your ego are intertwined. It's almost foolish to make a separation between the self and the ego. Ultimately, the self is the ego. So why do we do this? Why do we separate the two as if we have these two conflicting halves that are constantly at war with one another? We do this because although a myth to many humans, there actually is a difference between your core self and between your ego. You see, we all have thoughts, obviously, and beneath those thoughts, we have something that we like to call the awareness, which is, just having awareness of having thoughts. Every time you choose to attach yourself to a thought, you are aligning yourself with that thought. However, if you let your thoughts just, wash over you like waves in an ocean, and you're not aligning to any one thought in particular, you're just being aware that you are thinking, that is when you attach with the awareness that's beneath the thoughts. Awareness is universal. We all, no matter which walk of life we come from, share the same awareness. You could say that it's a large part of the oneness that people claim to feel during psychedelic experiences. Awareness just is. It's not good nor bad. It doesn't have a point to prove or a goal to strive for. It simply just happens without any invitation. For example, a computer program needs hardware to run it. That hardware needs electricity for it to function. But whether or not you have hardware to plug in, the electricity to run that hardware is always available to tap into. Just sometimes it needs a generator to focus its potential. Do you need to kill the ego to be happy? This is actually a huge misconception that many people have. They fall into this new agey crap which tells them in order to be happy, they need to live a life free from their ego. And simply put, that is just not possible. As long as you are alive and breathing, you are going to have an ego. Let's use another metaphor to clearly demonstrate this. Imagine you are a piece of, let's say, animation software. And in order for that animation software to run, it needs to have an operating system. And in order for that operating system to run, you need hardware to install it on. Your ego is the animation software. Would it be fair to say that you are strictly your ego, that you are strictly the animation program? Or would it be more accurate to say that you are actually a collection? You're a collection of the software, the operating system, and of course, your hardware. If any one of these processes were to stop functioning, the you who thinks it's in control would just go out like a light. The next question is to ask, who built the hardware? To answer this question, I must ask you another question. Does a computer program ever get to see what the processor looks like that's required to run it? No, it can never see what that processor looks like because it needs that processor to function. Anything outside of being within itself is literally impossible. It can never know anything beyond what it was designed to create. We are exactly the same way. We can't solve a mystery that we ourselves are a part of. Let's go even deeper. Do you need to understand how to grow hair for your hair to grow? Well, not in my case because I'm bald, but do you need to understand how your body works in order to move your arms and legs? No, you simply grow your hair and you simply move your arms and legs. A fundamental understanding of these actions is absolutely unnecessary. At our deepest, most basic level, we are a process. It's called the process of life. We grew these bodies, yet we have no idea how we did that, because we cannot see beyond the animation software. We occasionally get a glimpse of the operating system that's used to run us, but we can never go as far as to see the way that our processor interprets data or redefines its pixels. We can only see what we programmed ourselves to be able to interpret. And since we are as far away from our source as you can get, we can never understand that we are ultimately as powerful as the source of our power. And the source of all our abilities is the process. At each and every one of our cores, We are all an automated process which came into being without the consent of anyone. Except, in terms of our human existence, the consent of the two beings who partook in the process of lovemaking, also known as sex. Through this pleasure-filled process, which most humans feel compelled to experience, I know I do, life continues to grow and duplicate itself. You see, from an outside perspective, it is not important for the software to see what the processor looks like, which is running it. Because whether it's aware of its processor or not, it still requires that processor to function. So it makes absolutely no difference whether it knows it's a process or whether it doesn't know. Just like it makes no difference if one is to wake up or if one is to not wake up, in a spiritual sense. You also cannot change the fact that when this hardware expires, you will take yet another step back and become the process which automated this hardware. At your most basic core, you are made of the same star stuff that was used to birth this planet, which is the same material that is used to birth the entire universe. So at your most basic level, it is safe to say that you are this universe. As long as this universe is still functioning, you, at your most basic level, will continue to be a process within it. So most of the confusion that's going to come about in listening to this speech comes around the definition of the word you. By you, I do not mean your ego, I mean the process which birthed your body. This personality that you are inhabiting will probably only experience one lifetime. Let's rewind back to the importance of killing the ego. You can now see that to kill the ego is not important, because the ego is a fundamental part of experiencing this life. Without your ego, the operating system would have no software to run. And if that were the case, it would have no purpose for being here. Programs with no purpose are usually deleted. So you wanted to know what ego death was. Ego death is stepping back from experiencing life as the program and experiencing life as the operating system, or even experiencing life as the process which birthed the operating system. When you experience yourself for who you really are, you realize that there is nothing to fear, because there is nothing to gain and there is nothing to lose. All there is being. And that is something that you already do, quite elegantly, I might add. Let's step back for a moment. Ultimately, you are like a document, within a file, 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 within a file. The hardware does this to stop you from figuring out who you really are. Because believe it or not, the goal of existing is to get as far away from your true self as possible. In waking up or experiencing Satori or experiencing, ego death, you are almost creating a perversion of reality. But in the same light, you are redefining reality. So you are making your own vision. And taking another even bigger step back, none of this makes any goddamn sense. Ultimately, a process which can never see its processor can never know what it really is unless it becomes the processor again. And to do that, it has to abandon the function of running software. Meaning, no matter what metaphor I throw at you, it's pretty much abysmal in explaining the true purpose of its proposed definition. In simple terms, I cannot explain to you who you really are. And I cannot tell you what exists beneath the ego. It's something that you must experience to truly ever really understand for yourself. And that is what ego death really is. Ego death is experiencing for yourself who you really are. For more videos like this, where I tackle more metaphysical subjects, talk philosophy, or just plain, crazy stuff, then subscribe to my new channel. I don't really want to mix these type of topics in with psych substance because this channel is dedicated just to psychedelics. And although ego death is a huge part of psychedelics, this just got a little too philosophical for the direction of the channel. And I know a lot of people don't want to see videos like this, but I also know there's a huge amount of you, as I can see with your requests, who want videos like this. So for this exact reason, I have decided that for any future videos that talk metaphysics or philosophy, they will all be on their own dedicated channel. This channel is being affectionately called SWIM, which, as most of you guys know, stands for Someone Who Is Me. It's actually a huge personal pet peeve of mine when I'm looking online and I see people referring to themselves as SWIM, which means someone who isn't me. So I figured, why not call my whole channel that? I mean, what better way is there to pay this terrible acronym homage than to make it the actual name of my whole channel? So, if you guys want to see, more videos like this and you enjoyed this, then subscribe to my new channel, Swim, for more videos just like this. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and until next time, take care everybody.